Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Idham Hafiz bin Hazman Faris, and today I'm gonna present my defense proposal. And my research title is The Relationship Between Training Frequency and Performance Level Among Amateur Futsal Players in Shah Alam. This study focuses on how coaching-related training frequency may influence physical performance in amateur futsal. So, this is overview of my chapter 1. So, for introduction, futsal is a high-intensity indoor team sport. Players are required to perform frequent sprint, rapid changes of direction, and continuous movement throughout the match. Because of these demands, futsal players must have good speed, agility, and endurance. At the amateur level, players usually train only a few times per week because they need to balance futsal with study, work, and personal commitments. Therefore, proper training is very important to ensure good performance during match. So, for problem statement, although training frequency is an important part of training load management, many amateur coaches plan training schedule based on experience rather than scientific evidence. Previous studies show that appropriate training frequencies can improve physical performance. However, most of the study focus on elite or professional athletes. There is limited research on how training frequency affects performance among amateur futsal players in Malaysia. Because of this lack of evidence, coaches may find it difficult to plan effective and realistic training schedule. There is 3 research objectives. The objective 1 is identify training frequency patterns among amateur futsal players. Second objective, assess performance levels using physical tests. Third objective is determine relationship between training frequency and performance. There is 3 research questions. Question 1 is, what is the average training frequency per week? Second question is, what is the performance levels of amateur futsal player? Third question is there a significant relationship between training frequency and performance? My research hypothesis is null hypothesis. There is no significant relationship between training frequency and performance level among amateur futsal players in Shah Alam. Alternative hypothesis. There is a significant relationship between training frequency and performance level among amateur futsal players in Shah Alam. Significance of study. First one is help coach plan effective training frequency, and second, provide evidence-based guidance for amateur futsal coaching. Third, increase player awareness of structured training, and fourth, contribute to local sport science research in Malaysia. My delimitation of study: male amateur futsal players, age around 18 to 30 years old, location is Shah Alam, and I'm focused on training frequency only. Performance indicator: speed, agility, and endurance. Limitation of study: training frequency based on self-reported data, and study limited to Shah Alam only. Other factors not include nutrients, psychology, and tactic. Assumption of the study: players regularly attend training session. Second, coaches plan training based on knowledge and experience. Third, players provide honest information on training frequency. Fourth, training environment is suitable for performance development. Fifth, performance tests reflect true players' ability. Operational terms. The first one, amateur futsal players, non-professional male, age around 18 to 30. Second, training frequency. Coach decision on training structure and frequency. The third one is coaching practice, number of training sessions per week. The fourth, performance level, measured using speed, agility, and endurance tests. Now we go into chapter 2, literature review. The main objective is to establish a theoretical foundation by examining the relationship between coaching practice, training frequency, and athletic performance. The first, the coach role. Investigating the coach as the primary decision maker in amateur settings. Second, training frequency, analyzing it as a controllable variable for physiological adaptation. The third one is performance outcomes, reviewing empirical evidence on endurance, speed, and agility. So, what is the role of coaching in amateur futsal? The coach actually is the primary architect, the amateur concept. Coach act the sole source of guidance. Second point, the triple threat planning, physical, conditioning, and readiness. Second point, technical, skill acquisition. Third point is tactical, game of strategy. Human factor, beyond drill, coach, drive, discipline, teamwork, and motivation. Training frequency, balancing stimulus and recovery. The definition of frequency is number of sessions per week. The dose, the balancing act. First point is sufficient frequency, lack of physiological stimulus, no improvement. Second point, optimal frequency, consistent adaptation in endurance, speed, and agility. The third point is excessive frequency, leads to fatigue, burnout, and injury risk. Coach decision, frequency is a controllable variable used to manage training load. Performance outcome, quality plus consistency, then you can get a result. First point, the correlation, high consistency, improve match readiness. The quality caveat, frequency alone is not enough. First point, high frequency power plus power structure can get a performance decline. Optimal frequency plus quality coaching can get a peak performance. And the last one, influencing factors, success depends on a player engagement and session content, not just the number of time they meet. Now we move to another chapter, which is chapter 3, methodology. Research design 3.1, approach quantitative correlational design. So the objective is to measure the strength and direction of the relationship between training frequency and performance level. Justification, non-experimental approach allows for ecological validity, observing natural occurring training habits without disrupting players' work academic schedule. Population and sample. My target population is male amateur futsal players in Shah Alam, aged 18 to 30. And my sample technique is non-probability purposive sampling. My sample size is minimum 82 participants. Inclusion criteria, minimum 3 months experience actively training. 3.3, instrumentation, demographic profile, questionnaires covering age, experience, and weekly session count. Performance test. First performance test is speed, short distance sprint test. Second test, agility, change of direction. The third test is endurance, standardized field endurance test. Quality control, all instruments are validated and widely used in sport science. 3.4, research procedure, ethical clearance, approval obtained from institutional authorities and team coaches. Second, safety protocol, mandatory standardized warm-up conducted prior to testing. Third point, consistency, all tests administered by the same researchers using identical equipment and procedures. The fourth, consent, briefing and inform consent forms complete by all participants. As you can see, this is my 3.5 data collection procedure. My phase 1, preparation, recruitment through direct contact with Shah Alam clubs and teams. Second, implementation, single session data collection, questionnaires, and physical tests. Third, completion, post-test data screening for completeness and accuracy. accuracy. Last but not least, data analysis software. I'm using statistical package for the social science SPSS, descriptive statistic, mean and standard deviation for all performance variable, inferential statistic, Pearson correlation analysis to test the relationship between variables. Not forget to mention about references. So thank you. This is all my defense proposal about.